Hello weavers, thank you for taking time to complete our survey about the community weaving project, or community fiber project I should say, aspect of the July 2023 exhibition in the Bear Gallery for Alaska Tapestry Weavers. This accompanying video is just to show you a couple of the ideas, or give you visuals to understand the concepts for a couple of the ideas that we're thinking about, so that you can give us more information on which idea you like best, and whether once you've seen these you have a higher degree of comfort in participating in a group project. Idea number one is a simple color wheel, although one that includes tints and shades of each color. What we would do in this kind of concept is assign each participant a piece of pie on the color wheel, and you could weave a certain percentage of your overall project in this color, including all the different tints and shades, and play around with values. We'd probably include some aspect such as 2/3 of your work needs to be in your predominant hue within the color wheel, while the other third could be black, white, gray, or complementary colors. Idea number two is to take a basic cartoon and then fragment it, giving each person a segment. Each segment would be a fairly simple and straightforward design, but we'd allow everybody to use slightly different colors so that when the piece comes back together, it's unified and yet has a lot of very rich variety. And you'll see a couple of slides that show you a little bit more about that. Idea number three is a little bit more of a concept installation, and you can see an example that we're playing around with here. This is by an artist called Lena DeFore, and this is a huge exhibit called Fate, Destiny, and Self-Determination, and you can see it's made up of hundreds upon hundreds of submissions by individual artists, unified in different ways, sometimes by color, sometimes by shape, sometimes as clusters. We do a little bit different concept, but the basic idea would be very similar, where you have really kind of open-ended ability to respond to the concept, and the individual pieces would be clustered and installed along a wall. Idea number four is to collaborate with a local artist on designing a piece for us that we would then assign out to different artists in the community project, and then come back and assemble it as an installation. The artists I'm using here as examples are not people that we've contacted yet to discuss this possibility. They're merely examples of art produced here locally that renders itself or loans itself pretty well to the idea of weaving. So this first piece is by Jennifer Moss, and this is a piece called Hypothetical Mountain. This one is Sable Pass by David Mollett. It's, again, you can see the kind of shapes and angular orientation. One of the things about this piece that we wanted to show as an example is there are sections of this that would be fairly simple and sections that would be more difficult. And one of the things that we could look for in a collaboration with an artist is having that variety. So there are very beginner-friendly elements of the design, as well as slightly more complex elements of the design. A lot of the artists, or several of the artists that you'll see here, are working in mediums that also loan themselves well to interpretation within fiber. Printmakers, works in glass, works in tile, that kind of thing. This piece is By a Hair by Irish Sutton. I'm sure many of you recognize her work. Very similar to the other pieces we've seen so far. Bold colors, fairly straightforward shapes, very clean delineation between fields of color, and some sections that would be very beginner friendly, as well as some sections that would be a little bit more difficult and fussy to weave or to work with in fiber. This one is Detail from a stained glass installation called Four Elements by Jessie Hedden. Jessie Hedden was also the KUAC artist this year, for those of you who haven't seen that poster. She does work in collage, and so tends to have some, nice, straightforward shapes in her work, but it's very visually compelling. So this is just another example of the type of thing that might lend itself to a potential collaboration with an artist. And our final example is Nancy Hossel-Johnson, who works in tile, which again would lend itself to tapestry weaving for a variety of very good reasons. It has some of the same challenges in terms of how fine a line you can actually work with, how shapes work together. This particular piece is an abstract, so it's untitled abstract. But again, you can see how a collaboration with an artist working in this way could work very well to our advantage. And so again, these are just a couple of examples that we pulled that would give you a little bit of an idea of how a design collaboration might work. It would, of course, shift pretty radically once we start working with a specific artist and their ideas about how to work with us. So hopefully this has given you a little bit of information. Feel free to go on to the survey. You can also replay this video as many times as you'd like, and give us your opinions on which project idea you like best, how willing, able, and comfortable you feel participating, and how much time and energy you feel like you can devote to that participation. Thanks again for your time.